If the devil is inside anyone, it's Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt. These two monsters were revealed to be even worse than anyone could have ever imagined, as police evidence from their case has been revealed to the public this week. In what was released, we are hearing firsthand Ruby's thought process behind each action she did alongside Jodi, what they believed, their plans. And with each piece of evidence that's come out, it's become even more difficult to process the fact that this was a reality. Jail phone calls, arrest footage, journal entries, and so much more was put out. About 60 pages of Ruby's journal entries were released, and a good portion of it is redacted, which I can't even imagine what is said there, because what isn't redacted is already so heartbreaking that I can't even imagine what would be taken out. In these entries, Ruby has accused her kids of having the devil in them and the fact that they are ungrateful, and have said things like they want a new family and don't believe they're loved, and she just cannot believe that they would act the way that they have been. She calls them sinful, selfish. She says they're unwilling to repent and have made no changes. She also talked about in her journals that her and Jodi had plans to buy land in Arizona where they would take the kids and really try to fix them. And it seems she was fully aware that what they were doing would get them arrested, because on one occasion where her son had run away, she found him, and in her journal entry she wrote, "Just over 12 hours after finding R, teaching class, and leaving, Jodi sends me a text. I found the land. The devil does not want us to take R and E out of society. He did not want Jodi finding this property. He wanted Jodi and I down at the police station at 8:18 p.m., not discovering a place to bring intervention to his entanglement of my children. Oh, how good the Lord is." So she very much knew if anyone saw her kids that they would have been arrested. And it seems this is why the two moved exactly the way that they did in the footage of their arrest. Footage was released of police going to Jodi's home to search the property, and she was at the door already on the phone with her attorney. She looked in a panic and pleaded them not to search the house and that she could tell them everything that was inside. When Ruby came to the house and was arrested, she was silent. She said nothing to anyone. Even when they brought her in, she was still silent and only spoke one time to say she wanted a lawyer. When Jodi was brought in for questioning, she felt like she had nothing to hide and she had done nothing wrong, but felt like her words would be flipped by the police if she were to speak. She was trying to tell them that if they knew everything, they would have empathy for the situation. Like, in her sick mind, she truly believed that what she was doing was for the better good or something.
I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when we talk. So, you guys seem nice people. Yeah. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to be difficult. This is really, if you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy for what's going on. I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're gonna flip my words. I don't know.
And that's the good thing about cameras. Everything, it's pretty much double recorded, audio, video, and it's for the safety for you and for us, because we don't want to flip your words. And this will all be pretty much right there to support you. So we're not going to use anything against you.
Be so insistent then. He's an honest, good man, goes to church. I trust him. Why would he say that to me then?
I don't know your attorney, to be honest.
Well, I'm just saying he's a
good
good,
man.
honest man.
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
I'm an honest person as well, so we get along great. And he just said, do not say anything. I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time. So I get it. I sit on your side. I get it.
In phone calls Jodi made, she was certainly not remorseful. She was justifying her actions and felt like she hadn't done anything wrong. She talked about the spirits talking to her and how the devil is inside the children.
Here, Dennis. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth because these kids, I told Doug, I woke up, the spirit told me, it's all the devil. I mean, you've seen him. I mean, I've known you, for 5 years? You've watched him come at me, come at me, come at me, come at me. Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right, because he knows I know what he's doing, and he uses these kids.
She is also heard on the phone talking about the fact that people were telling her the evidence would destroy her and there was no defense for what they had done. And she was still trying to say, oh, we didn't do these things, they did them to themselves, which is ridiculous. Plus, Ruby kept a very detailed journal of all of the things that they had done, so there was absolutely no denying anything.
I know this sounds crazy, and I still can't put my finger on why it feels this way, but it feels like I was being set up to end up here.
Oh my God.
I know that sounds bizarro, I mean, I shouldn't be here. I haven't done anything wrong.
Right, but my goodness.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Run out of time.
But it was like everything got taken out of the house and it's in the storage unit so that I could come to jail. It sounds crazy, but it really feels that way. And I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of example, but when I get out of here, I have a story to tell.
The day after Ruby's arrest, she had a call with Kevin where the first thing that they seemed to talk about was money and finances. She goes on to talk about how this whole thing is a witch hunt and made it seem like the devil was after her, and this whole thing has been blown out of proportion and they were exaggerating how things were.
This is a witch hunt. The devil's been after me for years. I have not said a word until I have an attorney.
Okay, well, you know that this phone call is being recorded.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
They're going to be in the hospital for 3 days.
So weird. It's just not necessary. Like trying to exaggerate this.
They didn't show me. Well, they didn't show me any pictures or anything with the way they described it. It was very serious.
And please see the truth. I know it's obscured.
I'm where I see the facts, I see the truth, and that's what I'm gathering.
You know my heart.
The weird part is how supportive Kevin was on the call. It certainly isn't something anyone wants to hear him say, given that he isn't behind bars for this. Now, this was before he says that he saw any photos of the kids, but I mean, shouldn't it be enough just to hear what got them arrested and be angry? I mean, the fact that he had been willing to just leave his kids with her in the first place and not check in on them for a year is crazy enough. I know he's filed for divorce since this, but was that so he doesn't get in trouble? Is it all for appearances? That is what a lot of people have been questioning. But it's certainly concerning the way he was so supportive of her when they were on the phone while she was in jail talking about how he was going to fight to keep truth in their family.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it. You've seen what it takes to fight evil. It's not the person you're fighting. And it can look like something it's not. And you've been there, you know that. And so I don't know any adults who are going to see the truth. So I'm calm about this, and I just pray that you'll hang in there.
I'm preparing to step up and fight for the children. They've been taken. And there's going to be a hearing in the next couple of days here in Provo.
Satan has taken everything away from me that I love. And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things. I'm a really good girl.
Ruby, I'm going to do everything that I can to keep truth in our family, and
Thank you.
I am committed to our family. I'm committed to you and our marriage, no matter what happens.
At the time when Kevin was brought in for questioning the day of Ruby's arrest, Kevin was asked if he respects Jody, and he said he did. Despite the fact that in believing in Jody and her teachings, his family had been torn apart and he was living away from them, he was still believing in her and that this was all probably for some greater good. It didn't sound like he knew what Ruby was doing with Jody, but it didn't seem like he cared to know, and I think that part is just crazy, the fact that he could believe or be convinced that being away from his family was somehow for the best. Like, they are all just truly suffering mentally, believing all of this, truly.
So are they all living with you, or?
No, I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation.
From who?
From my wife and family.
What's your wife's name?
Ruby.
Ruby. Have you communicated with your wife regarding like discipline with your kids or their care or their physical well-being?
No.
So is she doing this on her own and just telling you how your kids are?
She's not telling me anything about the kids.
After he finds out about his kids and that Ruby was arrested, he was left to be alone for a while, and when they came back, he only seemed to be concerned about Ruby.
What's going to happen with my wife? I love my wife.
I don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. Haven't had an interview with
I
you.
don't press charges against my wife.
Possibly. I think given the circumstances, that's highly appropriate, but again, I don't know your wife. I was hoping to gain some insight from you, but I don't necessarily know that that's something you wanted to,
I trust her.
a road you wanted to travel down with me, so.
And not without legal representation.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But I love my wife and I trust my wife. And so, I mean, this feels like getting run over by a steam truck while you're sharing with me today.
Yeah, I can tell you're caught off guard.
He later on did say that he just wants his kids and wants his family, but people are still very skeptical of how he reacted in this video. In a second police interview Kevin gave, he opened up more about connections and Ruby and Jody. He said that he was actually skeptical of some of the things being taught to women about their husbands, but he stayed in the men's group that Connections had because he wanted to make things work with Ruby. And things get really weird when he says that eventually Jody told women in the group that she was being haunted. Essentially, she was also gone for an unexplainable 6-week period and was a wreck afterwards. Ruby and Kevin went to her house to talk to her when she was in this crazy state, and he says that he saw things flying off the wall and sounds in the basement, and Jody then came to live with them as they were making an effort to help her out. And this is when things got really bad between Ruby and Kevin, because stuff was getting weird in their house with the lights flickering, noises in the walls, and Jody and Ruby were spending a lot of time one-on-one together or time with Pam, their third partner in Connections, which is so concerning. But he says that Jody was saying that she was seeing visions and Ruby would spend tons of time with her and she drove a wedge between them.
I could leave when I wanted, but I couldn't come back until Ruby gave me permission. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. And the upstairs where Jody roamed was completely off limits. I couldn't go upstairs anymore in my own house. And there would be, Ruby would dictate all of the terms of how our interactions would be, when we would talk, and that was hard. And it was during that time that I really became, I would say, dependent upon Ruby. Like, if she said a kind word to me, like, my whole day was made.
He went on to say that Jody wanted to also take over their YouTube channel, which she convinced Ruby was all for the greater good, and it was all for God, it was for this bigger purpose, but this all drove them to a separation. As time goes on following the arrest, Ruby seems to be heard in phone calls talking to her parents about the arrest being a rescue for her, and she says that being away from Jody has cleared her head from things and it's been good for her to be away from Jody.
This has been the strangest and the most miraculous intervention. It put everybody where they needed to be. It separated me from Jody, so I'm not hearing her. And I think just being gone and not hearing her has cleared a lot of things up for me.
In talking to her sister Julie on the phone while in jail, she talks about how Jody is mentally ill and that she heard Jody plead guilty, and later mentions how the court seems to be looking at how repentant they are for what they've done and how Jody isn't remorseful. And hearing her say this certainly makes people wonder if Ruby is actually remorseful or if she's just acting like she is and was brainwashed, because she understands that if she seems sorry, there's a chance that she will get a lesser sentence.
Did you see that Jody pled guilty today?
I did see that. Yes. Is that a relief for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big relief. It's a big relief. I think in the interview it's going to be apparent that she's mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will affect how long someone, because they're looking, how repentant are you? How much responsibility are you taking? How are you aware that what you've done is wrong? And she's the only reason she pled is because she didn't want to do life.
On the same call with her sister, she revealed that at first Jody had denied her actions and involvement, and that's what had apparently woken up Ruby, because she was hearing that Jody was denying things, so she must know she actually did something wrong. And this apparently just, got Ruby to be like, oh my gosh, Jody isn't actually an honest person.
How much power I gave this person, and I didn't see it. He's like, Jody denies everything. She denies having anything to do with this, and I was shocked. I was like, what? And I'm still telling Lamar, like, all of the justifications and all of the, I'm talking like a criminal. I sound like a mad person. He was so patient with me. He was so patient with me. He would just look at me and like kind of dumbfounded, like I'd said 2 + 2 is 7, and I really believed it, and he would just stare at me. I'm like, what am I saying that's so off? And but that's because I really believed it. But then when I heard that Jody was not talking like that, she was denying the whole thing, it told me she knew all along. And then I was like, crap, what am I saying? And that's when things kind of started turning. I was like, she's not been honest. I didn't know she wasn't honest. I didn't know she would lie. And it's like, what else has she been lying about?
In phone calls, she also revealed her brother had put money into her account, which allowed her to make longer phone calls to people like her parents and others, which, since this information has been released, some have criticized the family for even taking phone calls with her in the first place. And I'll say, I don't know if maybe they were advised to take these calls from her to maybe see if she would say anything that they could use as evidence against her, or if they willingly wanted to call her because they still love and care for her. But obviously, if they support her after this, this is crazy. Like, you cannot be supporting a person like this ever. Like, this is the most horrible, horrific thing. I don't care if she was brainwashed by Jody or what, but the fact that anyone could even be convinced to do some stuff like this, like, no. Life. They deserve life. This whole situation has just been so insane, and it's just been made clearer than ever just how full of evil these two really are, and it's unclear how much time they will serve, but everyone is hoping it's for a very long time, the maximum sentence. We will just have to see how many years they will do. Right now it's up to 30 is what has been said, but I will let you guys know as time goes on what is officially said. But I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.